Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, here's a quick summary of my journey so far. I don't think that anyone who had seen the anime Death Note was really expecting the Netflix movie adaptation to properly portray it or even come close to its brilliance. And how could it? I mean, the anime is amazing and had a lot more time to be amazing. The anime consisted of 37 22-minute episodes consisting of around about 814 minutes as opposed to the movie's 100 minutes. So already they're working with 1/8 of the time and it's still very unfocused. But before I get into what I feel went wrong with the movie and a couple things which kind of went right, I do want to point out that I actually did watch the anime subbed, but just for the purposes of this video, because it's going to be a little fast paced since I have a lot to get through, the actual clips of the anime show are going to be dubbed. I think it'll be a lot easier that way. Let's get into it.
Hey, don't touch her!
Obviously we have to talk about Light. I mean, there is no Death Note without him. Anime Light had a purpose. He was driven, cunning, smart, clever, calculated, manipulative, sinister, all of these. He had so much development to his character. He was shown to be this brilliant-minded teenager who wanted to rid the world of evil and then become king of his new world. He didn't care what it took or who was collateral. He just wanted to win. He was egotistical and manipulative and a worthy opposer to L. He doesn't care about anybody else, including his own family, as long as he gets what he wants and beats L. In fact, his only real weakness was his ego, which L used to his advantage. Movie Light, however, is just this scared little kid who finds a book, uses it to kill people, falls in love, crashes and burns over the pressure of it all, wants to run away with the love of his life and never feel guilty about everything ever again. His character is weak and underdeveloped, just kind of boring, and his weakness is pretty much everything. I mean, on one hand we have this epic anime Light who is all like,
Ray Penber wrote all of those names on pages taken from the Death Note. Without even realizing it, he was actually signing a death warrant for all of his colleagues.
and then Movie Light who's...
We don't kill innocent people, Mia. Even if I wanted to, which I don't, taking out the guy that's following us would only indicate that it's me.
That's why you'd have to get rid of all the agents, regardless to who they're following. That way they wouldn't know who it was, but they would definitely know what happens when you fuck with Kara.
I can't believe you're saying this.
Anime Light.
The god of death, huh? Well, I'm not surprised. In fact, Ryuk, I've been waiting.
Movie Light. Anime Light.
Please, Dad, you can't die on me like this! That's important, but I've got bigger things to deal with right now.
Movie Light.
Are you out of your mind? It's my fucking dad!
Yeah, and you just dared us to kill him on live television.
We're not killing my dad!
You get the picture though. The main problem with Movie Light for me is that he just doesn't have any substance really. He's just some kid who uses the book to kill people, falls in love, and has no control over anything really.
I'll go get my goddamn book.
Anime Light was pretty much always in control, even when you least expected it, and he was especially in control when it came to Misa. Movie Light is just kind of a mess. He's not really shown to be this smart, cunning, brilliant-minded teenager. I mean, the anime actually shows us this. The movie just lazily tells it to us and expects us to believe it.
You won't understand anyway.
Because you're just that smart or because I'm just that dumb?
He's a kid!
Yes. A particularly bright kid.
Movie Light just cracks under any sort of pressure and even cries after L slightly raises his voice at him. Which at first I thought was just a ploy to trick his father, but nope, he was actually just crying. Also, he gives up information on the Death Note way too easily.
What is it?
What is what?
Your book?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
Do you really want to know?
The anime's always constantly having Light look for ways to outsmart L and overcome all these obstacles that L is throwing at him. Whereas Movie Light is just all like,
Your son is Keita, James!
What? No! Hello, nice to meet you. Leave?
there was a lot of controversy from anime fans over L when the trailer was first released. The whole point of L was to be this ironic depiction of the complete opposite of everything you thought he would be. The anime doesn't actually show us L, it leaves that up to our imagination. Instead it just shows how cunning and smart he is, an equal and worthy opposer to life.
I had to test this just in case, but I never thought it would actually happen. Kira. It seems you can kill people without having to be there in person.
In doing so, we expect to see this grown-up man who is dressed really cool, sort of like what Watery came out looking like, but instead we get this.
I am Al.
This is him?
He's nothing like I thought he'd be.
Which is brilliant. He's childish, messy, and just all around a great character because he's still incredibly smart and deductive. Movie Elle, on the other hand, is shown to us straight away and looks more like how we expected him to, but it's actually done really well, at least for the first part of the movie. Lakeith is outstanding as Elle. He plays him really well. His mannerisms, everything he portrays is so similar to anime Elle. It's really great. I was so on board with it for the first part of the movie. And then they just give him a mental breakdown. And he just instantly loses everything that made him Elle. They did do great with Elle at the beginning, and I think that they could have done great with Elle all the way throughout, even with the direction the movie took with him. I mean, at the start you have him saying things like,
I do not kill, Light. I don't even carry a gun. It's distracting. What I do is bring people to justice.
and it's great because it is Elle. Lakeith portrays him so well in all his mannerisms and his speech, and you look at him and you just see Elle, and then out of nowhere, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's definitely still the best character and the most fleshed out character in the movie, and Lakeith does amazing throughout the entire movie. It's just the movie doesn't use him to his full potential. I didn't mind so much that that was the direction that the movie wanted to take. Basically what happened was Elle finds out that Watery, who is his best friend and only guardian from when he's a young age, he's just been killed, and he just breaks down, and for about 2 seconds we have this really sad moment, and then they instantly just cut out of it to this huge car chase scene. You had something, you had such great potential there. Lakeith was giving this outstanding performance. Things were just getting sad, and out of nowhere they just cut to this fast-paced, loud action scene. It doesn't make sense. They got rid of what could have been this hugely emotional part of the movie. Instead they went the whole Liam Neeson revenge action route.
You're the one who flew into the sun. I'm just here to make sure you actually burn.
There wasn't really any. The anime is the most intense show you will ever watch. It's just this constant battle between Light and Elle, and all these logical, amazing moments. They're constantly trying to psych each other out, figure each other out. They're causing huge obstacles for each other. Elle gives Light more and more obstacles to overcome, and Light surprises Elle by overcoming them. He never lets Elle have 100% certainty that he is Kira. In fact, Elle has very little certainty.
While it's true that Kira hates losing, it's also true that most people would rather win than lose. It's human nature. Is he going to think that I'm Kira if I go for the win? Since he'd expect Kira to want to win, he might also expect me to throw the match to avoid suspicion. I'm sure that can wait until you're convinced that I'm not Kira.
He conducts an investigation into Light, ending in this incredibly intense, mind-blowing scene where he reveals himself to Light, and we're left wondering what the hell Light is gonna do now.
I want to tell you I'm Al. What? There's no way. What's he talking about?
Then you have Movie Elle, who has someone follow him for a little bit, decides he's Kira, and then fully pursues it without Light really opposing it.
I'm suggesting that maybe what you and the person you're after want isn't so different, and maybe they're as ready to see the killing end as you are.
There's no back and forth, no battle, no logic, and no tension.
Imagine what else you could do.
Okay, now we have to talk about Rurik. How could we not? Seeing the trailer, I think everyone else expected Rurik to be the best part of the movie. He looked cool, he sounded cool, it was so great, and I was really looking forward to seeing him in the movie. And then he's kind of just barely in the movie. He just really falls flat. He's not given any background or any character development. I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do with him. Unlike the anime, he just doesn't really fit fully into the story. In the movie he's actually quite prominently shown, more so really than Mia is shown, which made me think that they were gonna have this sort of accurate portrayal of Rurik. I thought that they were gonna kind of focus more on how Rurik affects Light as opposed to Mia. But instead he's just completely sidelined for Mia. The only real time that Rurik felt like Rurik for me was at the ending, but I'll talk about that later.
Can I kiss you?
You're supposed to ask.
In my opinion, Mia just didn't really fit into this movie at all. You could have easily have taken her out and made a much better movie. She's just kind of confusing. She doesn't have any actual goal or reason for anything that she does. We have Misa in the anime who is incredibly driven with this ultimate goal of making Light fall in love with her. She would do anything for him, which Light uses and abuses. Light doesn't actually love her, he just sees her as an obstacle and an opportunity to get what he wants.
Those eyes of yours that you sacrificed half your life to get will become my weapon.
Thank you so much. I'll try my hardest to make you love me. I promise.
Misa doesn't care about the Death Note at all. She's just willing to do whatever Light tells her to. Cutting back to movie Mia, we have this whole mess and confusion of Mia initially loving the whole idea of the Death Note, but loving Light a lot more. But then she really likes the Death Note, but then also Light again. But then she focuses a lot more on the Death Note, but loves Light a lot. She seems to side more with wanting to use the Death Note to kill people.
You want out? You're out. All I need is for you to give me the book.
But then puts Light's name in the Death Note as well. But she only did it so that she could ultimately get the main power of the Death Note and then burn Light's page out of it because she still loves him, and it's just really weird and I don't really know either. Also, really quickly, I just want to say that I was really confused as to why Light didn't just rip out the page with his name on it. I mean, we see him looking at the page that has his own name on it. He's in possession of the notebook. He could have just ripped it out and burned it himself. Plus, his whole plan was that Mia would fall from the Ferris wheel, and he specifically wrote that she would rip the page out of the notebook. I mean, he could have just ripped it out himself and avoided all the trouble. Perhaps there is a second page that Mia had, but they didn't actually state that. And even if it was a second page that Mia had, he still wouldn't have to have her rip the page out of the book since she would have been dying anyway. The movie decided to go with the good old teenage love story rather than the cool, clever, logical Death Note killings and the battle between Light and L. But there was one point in the movie where I thought that they'd flip it around and actually give a whole lot more character development to Light. And they had such a great opportunity to do this. Light is starting to feel guilty and enraged over the killings of the police. He's also incredibly angry that Mia tried to kill his father. Mia tries to apologize for it, says it's for the best, which he is really offended by. Then she just says, "I love you," and everything's fine.
I love you.
It was such a good opportunity for him to become the manipulative, sinister Light that we've been waiting for this whole movie. I was waiting for him to walk inside and then show us that he was manipulating her and then come up with this really cool, clever plan like anime Light always does. But it just never happened. He'd rather run away with Mia than be Kira, which completely defeats the purpose of his character and story.
You have the chance to stop the type of people who make things hard for everybody.
The anime is a lot better because it's this fascinating story of this egotistical, cunning, calculated maniac who wants to rid the world of evil and rule his new world as Kira. This offers plenty of excitement in and of itself, but the point of it is to be this sort of commentary and just to show how killing effects on society and all the people in society as well, and all of the characters in the show. But instead the movie just has him be the Suicide Squad Joker and Harley Quinn of high school. They very, very quickly gloss over Light killing people with the Death Note in exchange for the whole romance plot with Mia. It's all just very messy and random. Also, they missed this really cool opportunity to have the beat of the water drop flow into the beat of the music in the next scene. The introduction of Light's father was also very weak in comparison to the anime.
Chief! You look like you could use one of these.
You sure are relaxed. Of course. If the police try to come after me, I'm pretty confident I've got something that'll give me the advantage. Hey, glad you could join us for dinner. You hungry, Dad?
Yeah, it's been a long day.
I didn't do it justice during my explanation there, but it is incredible. But in the movie, we're not even 15 minutes in when Light just sort of says that he's a cop. It's kind of like the whole Light being smart situation. It's just a lazy approach to showing us something very important.
I think that you actually, you're a cop.
There's no tension at all. They don't show us, they just tell us, and it's just boring.
Hope you know what you're doing.
Okay, so I know I said a lot of negative things about the movie, but that's because I wanted to focus on the problems of it being an adaptation from the amazing anime series. But the actual movie itself isn't all bad. As an adaptation, it's terrible. As a standalone movie, it's still kind of bad, but it has some redeeming points, okay? I mean, it's an easy watch, a little frustrating at times, but Elle's character, and especially Lakeith as Elle, who he gives an amazing performance and isn't given the proper justice it deserves, especially during that stupid emotional scene, which I'm really salty about because it could have been so good. But Elle's character and Lakeith as Elle really do kind of save it a little bit. But the main point I want to make, and in all honesty, I really loved the ending. Not just because it meant that the movie was over, because it finally gave us that sinister element that we were looking for the whole time. I know it's taking a completely different approach than the anime, but it still works really well for the direction that the movie took it in. It's also the only part of the movie really where Ruik felt like Ruik to me. To summarize it, Elle finds the Death Note page and in his grief and anger at the loss of his friend is left trying to decide whether or not he should keep his integrity as Elle or write Light's name on the page to avenge Watery. Then we cut to an incredibly sinister Ruik laughing as tension builds up and this happens.
You humans are so interesting.
I really did like this ending. It finally gave us that sinister element that we've been waiting for, and I thought the ending was actually really good. To conclude all of that, the movie does kind of fall flat. Personally, I think it would have been a lot better if they completely removed Mia and scrapped that whole romance plot between her and Light and instead focused on the battle between Light and Elle and Ruik being this main side character. I get that the very little time that they had was pretty constricting, but just the fact that they managed to end the movie so sinisterly and show one little part of Light being very smart and almost give us an emotionally powerful scene with Elle, it just kind of proved to me that they had potential to take this movie in a much better direction. It was never going to live up to the anime, it didn't have nearly enough time to do that, but it could have been at least pretty good. What bothered me the most was that they were working with an already amazing story and already amazing characters, but decided, you know, all of that brilliantly crafted, metaphorical, deeper meaning and intense, sinister, logical battle between Light and Elle. Yeah, let's just scrap all of that and instead do this random, crazy, psychopathic teenage love story. At least the anime is amazing. Also, how the hell did Light not get in trouble for this?
You're gonna wanna be my best